Oh, yeah, baby. It's that time of the week. It's the NFL DraftCast show with Brian Baldinger and Rick Serritella here on this Wednesday, March 19th, 2025. All the way live, 37 days, counting you down to destination Green Bay. The 2025 NFL Draft is upon us. It's all brought to you by allaccessfootball.com, your home for the 2025 NFL Draft Bible. We got the PDF publication, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, our 23rd year of independent NFL draft analysis, over 500 scouting reports used by all 32 NFL teams. Go to allaccessfootball.com. Take advantage of our pre-draft sale today so that you save later on. And you can't watch the NFL draft without the NFL Draft Bible. If you want to be in the know, hey, it's where the pros go. Shout out to all the subscribers. Everybody tuned in around the universe. We're broadcasting live here from the Jersey Shore. Just got done stuffing my face with a slice from Lenny's in Lavalette. The pizza was mighty fine. Buckle up. We got an hour of power. And to do that with us, by the way, before I introduce my co-host, go to allaccessfootball.com. We got the latest NFL mock draft I just did. Came out Monday. Probably not going to have too much time to get in that today because we got a jam-packed show. We also got the Baldy breakdowns flowing. Okay, if you like that, come check us out. Come inside the film room. Baldy breakdowns are ongoing, counting you down to the NFL draft. Okay, we got a jam-packed show. We're going to talk some pro day buzz. Later on, we've got RJ Oben, the Notre Dame defensive end via Duke. We've also got the Canadian cannon, Taylor Elgersma, joining the show. Much anticipated. And then Nate Carter from Michigan State, who I had a chance to scout up at UConn. Our good friend Jim Mora scouted him. He winded up at Michigan State, blew up the pro day. One of these guys that didn't get drafted to the or didn't get an invite to the NFL scouting combine, but who could get drafted. We got under the radar prospects. To do that is my co-host, the pride of Massapequa, New York, an undrafted free agent out of Duke, 1992 NFL draft, spent about a dozen years in the NFL hanging out. There he is, host of the Odyssey Show, Best Football Show, Fox Sports, NFL Network. I see him going through the car wash, the Insider Show, all these different shows on NFL Network. Brian Baldinger joined us now. Is he in Florida? Is he in Jersey? Where are you joining us today? NFL Films, Baldy, where you at? Unmute. And he's got the Baldy Breakdowns gear, which I'm going to have to get him. I'm going to have to get me a Baldy Breakdowns hat and a shirt. We got Baldy now. Cole, are we helping out Baldy behind the scenes? We got Cole Glotzer trying to get the situation rectified here, Cole. All right, let's work on Baldy's audio. All right. While we do that, I'll run through some news. Yeah, we got you. Hey, there he is. Yeah. We don't want to mute. We don't want to mute the Baldy's breakdowns.
I try to go high tech here and plug in a real microphone, and I can't get the settings right, so I'm just going right through my speakers here.
You're sounding good though. I love hearing you in stereo. The audio we got to come through with the emphasis, baby. Hey, Baldy, listen. We don't have a lot of time. We're gonna get the Canadian cannon popped up here in a few minutes or so. But Alabama Pro Day. I know you're going to be visiting quite a few pro days on the pro day circuit. We'll get into that too. But, let's talk about Jalen Milroe because, I see a lot of NFL draft analysts out there. They're talking about Jackson Dart. They're talking about Tyler Shuck. I mean, is that a joke? Are you kidding me? This guy, Jalen Milroe, this is the same narrative that was painted on Lamar Jackson, okay? Elite speed, scrambling ability, beautiful deep balls on film. Yep. I mean, this guy has some beautiful deep ball accuracy. Now, it's the short to intermediate parts of the field where he struggles, but we have him, according to our sources, 4.44, 4.48 on his 240-yard dash run attempts at the Alabama Pro Day. I mean, this is a player that, you want to try to develop. I know the Pittsburgh Steelers had dinner with him last night. Yep. They pick at number 21. Where do you see Jalen Milroe in the quarterback equation here?
Well, I mean, he's a prospect, and he's going to get drafted. And you have to be patient with him. I thought he should have stayed another year in college, especially with the NIL money that's out there, and played more. But regardless, the talent is there. He played in the hardest most competitive conference, won a lot of football games with his ability. And look, I mean, we all watched Jalen Hurts become the MVP of the league. Jalen Hurts coming out of Alabama, was there a whole lot different between him and Jalen Milroe at this point? Probably not. I mean, they were probably pretty similar type players.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I know the makeup of Jalen now. I didn't know it then. I know what kind of individual he is, the commitment to the game, all that kind of stuff, the ability to take on coaching, all that stuff. I don't know all that about Jalen Milroe, but when you watch him, we watched him at the Senior Bowl. I mean, he's got an NFL arm, he's got an NFL body, and he's got elite athletic traits. So you have to draft him with the idea that he's not going to probably start for a year, maybe 2 years. But you have a chance to develop him and play him and find a place for him. And so you're probably not going to go in the first 2 rounds. But at the same time, maybe he could be a second-round pick. I mean, if I was a quarterback team that was looking to just be one of those guys the way we saw Ron Wolf, draft a quarterback every year in Green Bay, I'd be one of those teams. Let's draft Jalen Milroe. Let's just see what we got here. Let's take him out to minicamp. Let's go to OTAs. Let's throw him in there in preseason. Let's let him run a scout team. Let's give him a year, 2 years, and let's see what we can do with him.
I don't disagree. And interesting side note to remember, the last time the Eagles won the Super Bowl, they had the 32nd pick. They traded out of the first round to the Baltimore Ravens so they can move up and select Lamar Jackson. We'll see if there's a team that maybe wants to have that 5th year under control. Maybe they sneak back into the back end of the first round. Hey, Brian Baldinger, Rick Serritella chopping it up here. Jahad Campbell was a guy that just blew the roof off of Lucas Oil Stadium. You were there, Baldy. I mean, this guy is 6 foot, 255, ran in 4.47.
4.52. 4.52. Yeah.
And so, I mean, we talked about it. Is he an off-ball linebacker? He used a situational edge rusher. Now we're hearing, hey, not so fast, my friends. Had a torn labrum surgery after the combine. Puts him on the mend here a little bit. How does that impact his draft status, do you think?
Well, the medical is important. And, if there's complications, is he ready for training camp? Like, all these things can be affected. Now, I don't know the severity. Torn labrum can be in a lot of different things. It could be the beginning of shoulder problems. It can fix it and never be heard from again. But we certainly have seen this impact players and impact the draft status. I thought he was the number 1 off the ball inside linebacker in this draft. I mean, you could say, Georgia, certainly Jalen is a great player at Georgia, but you could probably say I thought he was the number 1 off the ball inside prospect right now. It may be affected by this medical and just what the rehab time is. That's the number 1 question right now. Nobody probably really knows, since it's probably very recent, just when the rehab is going to be complete and when he's ready to go back and play again.
Yeah, and I was starting to think that he might be an edge rusher after that combine performance. Now, with the shoulder, maybe he just stays at off-ball linebacker. I think it's important to note, like, when you're selecting in the first round, and I heard some people talk about, he could go higher than people anticipate. Well, when you're selecting in the first round, there's a lot of different draft philosophies out there. One philosophy, I think, will trying to minimize the risk, especially with first-round picks, right? So when you have a guy now, like, you might have to redshirt him his rookie year, especially teams in the top half of the first round, they're looking to improve now.
Yeah,
maybe he slides. Maybe a contending team could be a little bit more patient with the Jahad Campbell, but I definitely think it dampens his draft stock. Now, anything else you want to shed light upon from the Alabama Pro Day, Baldy?
No, Tyler Booker. I mean, people were like, they were like, Tyler Booker ran a 40-yard dash in 5.5. I mean, who cares? Honestly, like, he's Trey Smith. Trey Smith, at Kansas City, has started every game since he was taken. Now, he had blood clots at Tennessee, and a lot of teams didn't even have him on the draft board.
Yeah,
they didn't want any of the medical risk. Kansas City felt comfortable in the 6th round to take him. He's an all-pro. They basically are going to give him probably the highest paid guard contract in the NFL at this point. To me, he's Trey Smith. He plays with attitude. I met him last year, Rick, at OL Masterminds in Dallas. All the offensive linemen from Alabama was there that day, but he came up, introduced himself to me, wanted me to sit down and watch the Georgia game with him and just sort of pick his game apart. What I like, what I didn't like. I mean, he gets his hands on you. It's over. But, but that's the type of kid he was. Like, he's a serious student. And really, I compare him to Trey Smith because that's exactly who Trey Smith is. Like, Trey Smith is there at OL Masterminds 2 weeks before the start of training camp. Every year, whether they win the Super Bowl, go to the Super Bowl, he's there, taking notes, front row, talking to veterans, talking to, Hall of Fame players that show up there every year, taking his notes, leading sessions, breakout sessions. But I think Tyler Booker is going to be that guy. And honestly, like, I don't know Will Campbell, Armand Membu, some of these guys are going to fall. But I have no problem right now making Tyler Booker the number one offensive lineman taking this whole draft.
I'm with
because of what you just said. Like, you draft in the top half of the first round, Rick. You want a super clean guy.
Yep.
Injuries, medical, no red flags, all about ball. You want a guy that when he comes in there, he's got the look of a pro. He acts like a vet.
Yep.
Like that's what you're getting in Tyler Booker.
Tyler Booker is the best offensive lineman at his position. And I'll say it with a disclaimer because I know guards have been devalued, but Tyler Booker is the best offensive lineman who can plug and play and start from day one. There, I said it, okay? Dave Delco chimes in, Quay Robinson, a nice day 3 guy out of Bama, some edge rush capability there, used as a situational pass rusher with the Crimson Tide, flying under the radar. So, talk about day 2, day 3 pass rushing ability. Q Robinson is in the mix. Now, we're going to get Taylor Elgersma here in just a moment. We're going to take a quick break. But for the listening audience, we're on location across the nation. Which pro days will you be attending, Baldy?
So on Monday, Miami has their pro day. I just got their whole itinerary, everything from, the measurements that they'll be doing to all the field testing to workouts. And obviously, some of these guys, Cam Ward, we'll see if he runs, but he's definitely going to be throwing. So that's Monday is Miami's pro day. I'll be there probably from noon. We go live with a TV, airing of the interviews with Cam and Elijah Aroro, some of the guys there from 4 to 4:30 to 5:30 NFL Network. So I'll be there all day Monday. Then Friday, I'll be at State College for Penn State. Look forward to seeing James Franklin, but certainly Tyler Warren, Abdul Carter, some of the guys there at Penn State. And then I'll be in Boulder at Colorado's pro day on April 4th. So I'm going to be making a circuit. I mean, you just look at, it's interesting. So I had just heard this, Rick. I know this is, our time is short right here, but Deion Sanders brought up something that they're looking for an opponent for their spring game this year. Yeah. They were talking to Syracuse. Imagine if that catches fire, Rick. Because everybody has these inter-squad controlled scrimmages. But imagine if we just said, well, let's just take LSU and let's play them against, I don't know, pick a school,
I love it.
I do too. I really do. I think the spring game, first of all, you're going to fill the bowl everywhere. Then it's going to be televised. You could do Saturday night, Saturday afternoon, Friday night. Like, this thing could blow. I'm anxious to talk to Deion.
I can't wait. I think it's going to get a game changer. I see the losers on Twitter talking about, this will be good to sit home and pick apart the transfer portal and figure out which guys we want to take. If you have that kind of mentality, you're a loser. I mean, give me a break. This is spring football, baby. Buckle up. We're competitors here. And listen, we keep it real. We're going to blow through the commercial break. You know why? We got a big show here on the NFL DraftCast show. Brian Baldinger, Rick Serritella. It's presented by AllAccessFootball.com. Your home for the 2025 NFL Draft Bible. We got first-round prospects. We got day 3 prospects. We got under-the-radar, undrafted free agent prospects on this show. Okay, so go check it out. Over 500 scouting reports. You can save today. We still got the pre-draft sale going on. That way, when it comes out next month, you don't have to get banged and bopped over the head because that's what we're doing all night long. We're burning the midnight candles. We're breaking it down. enter the film room. Baldy's breakdowns are flowing on the website. We got the mock draft is just on fire. I mean, any other show would be talking about the mock draft. We don't have time for that. You know why? Our next guest, Baldy, he's the Canadian captain, a 3-time team captain out of Laurier, guided them to a 12-1 record this past season, led them to the Yates Cup championship, won the HEC Crichton Award, which is the equivalent to the Canadian Heisman Trophy Award winner. Okay, over 10,547 career passing yards, 96 touchdowns, 78 of which came through the air, to 33 interceptions. He joins us now on the NFL DraftCast show. Taylor Elgersma joins the show. Taylor, what's happening, man? Where are you joining in from?
Back in Canada now after University of Buffalo Pro Day, so a couple nights here and then get back right after it. So feeling good.
Okay, is that London, Ontario?
I'm at school right now in Waterloo, Ontario. So back with the guys, showing face around spring ball like you guys were just talking about, and helping the guys out.
All right, I love it. Well, listen, I got a first glimpse at you at the Tropical Bowl. You were in that star scrimmage. You won the MVP. I saw a bunch of NFL teams lining up to talk to you. Then you got the call up to the Senior Bowl in Mobile. Just talk about your NFL draft process, the All-Star circuit, how you felt competing against some of the upper level echelon of prospects around the North America continent. I mean, welcome to America. That's a great wake-up call, no?
Yeah, for sure. I think, I definitely had a unique, draft, process and all-star circuit like you're just talking about, but it was, super exciting for me, getting able to go to, College Gridiron Showcase, get the call to the Tropical, and then ultimately get to go down to the Senior and spend the week there. I think it was, a lot for me and a lot of, exciting opportunities to kind of showcase who I am to teams, to get coached up by really good coaches and be around really good players. And so, I had an amazing experience through that whole month.
Taylor, it's interesting to me because I see so many players now coming through the NFL from Canada and so many players in college that are from Canada. And I don't know if people quite understand not just the popularity, but just, how early they're starting some of these players. I mean, obviously, hockey has always been, kind of the national pastime, but football, I mean, it's not uncommon to see this pipeline coming out of these various areas of Canada right now.
For sure. I think you just talked about it. There's a bunch of Canadian-born players in the NFL. Obviously, the CFL is here, and that's a league that has a lot of elite athletes and high-level players in it that are, going back and forth between the NFL and the CFL all the time. And, football has, a place in Canada, and there's a strong, fan base for not only Canadian football, but American football. In Canada. And so, it's pretty cool to see, these Canadian-born players being able to, showcase themselves. I look at Chase and Sid Brown, for example, 2 guys from my hometown. And, Chase obviously having an outstanding year, and Sid just, coming away with the Super Bowl victory. So, yeah. So, I mean, it's definitely cool to be a part of.
Yeah, and everybody's blowing me up because I used to work at the Edmonton Elks front office, so I got all my Canadian friends chiming in as we talk to Taylor Elgersma, Laurier quarterback here on the NFL DraftCast show. And listen, I know you spent some time up north in Canada with some of the CFL teams. Talk about that experience, and for the fans in these states who might not be familiar with the rules, how that eligibility works.
Yeah, I mean it's something that's pretty cool that we get in Canada is CFL teams have the opportunity to, if they want, bring in normally a draft eligible quarterback into their building for the entirety of rookie camp all the way through final cuts at the end of training camp. And I was fortunate enough to be able to not only go after my third year, but also after my freshman year and after my second year. I was able to spend 2 training camps with the Toronto Argonauts. And one with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And, for me, it was, so important for my development, learning in a professional playbook, what the install schedule is like, being, in a professional camp for 6 weeks at a time, 3 separate times. And, I was a part of, every practice, every meeting, and being able to kind of get that experience of what it's like when you go to the pros and how you conduct yourself, how you carry yourself, how you approach, the installs every day. And, also important for me in terms of, a lot of the CFL playbooks are American language, and there are American coaches that come to Canada to coach, and being able to be in books that have the American language was definitely made my transition to the American game easier.
Well, so many quarterbacks, Taylor, have come through there. I mean, I worked with Joe Theismann for a long time. Joe started up in Canada. Doug Flutie went through there. I mean, there's been so many NFL quarterbacks that have gone there to get the playing time, and to establish themselves. Warren Moon. I mean, you can go on and on and on, but it has been an incubation place where you can go play and bring your skills and develop your skills to come to America.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's one thing that I, experience in those camps is, how good these athletes are and how good these players are. I look at a guy, for example, like Quantez Stiggers on the Jets, who, he was in Toronto when I was there, and you could see, even though he was a young player, he took over that year. He had a great year with Toronto, and then he makes his transition to the NFL the year after that. And so, there's countless guys that you could name that do that, year after year. But it's definitely was, part of the awesome experience for me was getting to compete against those guys, getting used to the speed of the game. And, I think that was, big for me in my development.
Yeah, we're talking to Taylor Elgersma here on the NFL DraftCast show, brought to you by All Access Football. Rick Serritella, Brian Baldinger. In fact, there are 27 current players in the NFL born in Canada. Taylor would be the first Canadian-born quarterback to actually see game action since our good friend Jesse Palmer, who came out of the Florida Gators. But those of you who have the grays like Baldy and myself may remember Mark Rippon, who brought home a Super Bowl ring, the legendary Mark Rippon. And his nephew, Brett Rippon, is floating around in the NFL. But, Taylor, I saw your game. I saw you up close. You've got a live arm. I saw the confidence that you have, the ability to squeeze the ball in tight windows for those who are watching live on Twitter, on X, on YouTube. But give us a little self-scouting report. Break your game down to us for the people tuning in are just first hearing about you. What are you going to bring to an NFL team?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, when I think about my game, obviously physical traits, I always tell, scouts or anyone, they can, evaluate that for themselves. And I feel very confident that I can make the throws and put the balls in place that they need to be. But I think what I bring to the table is, a leadership and a command of my offense. I think that's something that I've, really prided myself on is, being able to be, the operator of my offense, be the guy that, my teammates look to every single down. And I think that's part of the quarterback's job. And ultimately your most important job as the quarterback is to be the operator of your offense, to be the leader of your group. And I think that, those experiences I just kind of talked about helped me, but also, being able to be with this, group of seniors and develop up year after year. We were a 4-4 team when I was a freshman at Laurier, and we took steps every single year. We went to 6-2, 7-1, 8-0, and made the national championship this last year. And, being able to, learn how to be that guy day in and day out and come out polished is something that I'm, super proud of. And I know that, my job is going to be, the same when I get to the next level, is to just put my head down, work and develop and get coached up and, become the best player I can be.
Well, you made great strides each and every season, 4,252 passing yards this past year, 35 touchdowns through the air, 11 interceptions. You added another 7 rushing touchdowns through the ground. You had a great pro day, Taylor, and we appreciate you joining us here on the NFL DraftCast show. We hope to catch up with you in the near future, maybe before the draft, maybe after the draft, but I know you've got the Drew Rosenhaus tandem of agents there and our guy Fred and Craig Schaefer there. So we appreciate you joining the show and look forward to chopping it up soon with you.
I really appreciate you guys having me on. Have a good day.
All right, there you
Good
go.
luck to you, Taylor. Yeah, thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Cool. We're on the air here. We got our co-host Oceana that wants
Hey,
and
what's up, sweetie?
It's time for a commercial break. We'll be back right after this.
Okay.
Let's break down Nick Emenwari here from South Carolina. Banjoing right here on this play. And you can see his length is in a good position. All right? Very good when it's like that. Now here he is in a slot against, remember Ricky Pearsall, number 1 pick of the 49ers, on this spray fade right here. All right? Gets through the bump right there, defends that pass. Like his range at 6'3" is excellent. And then here he is in the middle of the field. All right. So now you got a safety rotation right here, and you gotta play free safety. You got to see it all. And now here comes Burden, and you break it up. Like all safeties, like they got to catch the ball better than they actually do. Now you watch the speed right here. I mean, here it is. All right, he's on this side of the ball in this coverage, and now there goes the back, and here he comes. Now he might not save lives, but he just saved a touchdown right there. Okay. Now you watch this, and you go, he's a cover safety. All right, so here he goes. Are you going to have an in-breaking route right here? All right, can you flip your hips, get in front of it, and get the ball down? Well done. All right, then he gets knocked for some of his tackling, but he makes a ton of tackles up at the line of scrimmage because you got to play everywhere. Free safety, box safety, half-field safety, you name it. Now you watch this right here, and you watch. This is where maybe that vertical leap comes in play. Like his ability just to hang right here on this throw by Leary. Like 43-inch vertical, maybe you just need this kind of hang time. All right, same thing right here. You watch this play on this throw right here, and it's the same thing. Like his range and his ability just to track a ball, difficult catches, he does all of that. And he tested off the charts. A lot to like about Nick Emen.
All right, it's the place to be. Buckle up. You're tuned into the NFL DraftCast show. We're on location across the nation, so keep it locked every Wednesday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on X and around the All Access Football Media Platform Network. We are live.
Big show today here on this Wednesday, March 19th, 2025, 37 days away from the 2025 NFL Draft Destination Green Bay. It's all brought to you by AllAccessFootball.com. Your home to the 2025 NFL Draft Bible. Your home to the new and latest, greatest mock draft. Your home to Baldy's breakdowns. You see the shirt, you see the gear, you see the mug, you hear the horse throat because you're burning the midnight oil. We can't stop. We won't stop breaking down film for days. And the next guest of our show is somebody we had a chance to see up close and in person, Baldy, down there in Mobile. Of course, a product out of Montclair, New Jersey, St. Peter's Prep. Spent 4 seasons at Duke before finishing up at Notre Dame. He is RJ Oben, and we thank him for waiting patiently in the green room because I went out of the rundown order. Sometimes you over-prepare, RJ. I think you know a thing or two about that. How we doing today?
Of course. I'm doing well. Thank you guys for having me.
Well, we appreciate you joining us. Where are you checking in from today?
Right now, I'm in Fort Myers, Florida right now. I got just about a week left of, pre-draft training until I go back for next week is pro day. So trying to, get my time down and, hone out my skills.
Yeah, you were one of those combine snubs. I'm sorry, Baldy, real quick. I just want to get that in because you were one of those combine snubs. And when you've trained when you have a late March pro day, people don't realize this. Usually combine training is an 8-week process. Right, you have your combine in end of February or early March. When you have a late March pro day, you've now got to do an extra month of training to prepare for your pro day when you don't have that combine invite. Has it been a mental grind? Have you? I think I saw you say you might enjoy the process a little bit. How has it weighed on you just waiting for that opportunity?
Yeah, honestly, it's been great. I don't think it would have been great, obviously, to be able to have opportunity to go to the combine, but obviously not having that invite, just puts a chip on my shoulder. And obviously we got out late, finishing the national championship game on January 20th, so I was already kind of behind on having that extra time to prepare for pro days and combine and stuff. So to have that date pushed back a little bit also gave me that full 8 weeks that a lot of guys who didn't decide to opt out of bowl games and stuff kind of got that time. So I feel like I kind of got that time, was able to catch up, and I've just been trying to focus on my process and know that end of the day is as long as I just try to keep getting better every day and take it one step at a time, that I could just maximize this time. So that's what I've been trying to do.
RJ, as a former Duke Blue Devil myself, way long ago, I had a great admiration for both you and Riley both to see you transfer and have the success you had. Did you have any idea, RJ, when you made that transfer, that it would lead to what it did become this year at Notre Dame?
Honestly, no, man. I knew that, we had a chance to really do something special, considering the guys they had, dominating last year, and, getting a chance to, face that team up close, at home in 2023, which, obviously a great opportunity, and would have hoped to come away with a big W at that game. But knowing that they had a lot of older guys, deciding to come back and, kind of make the same decision I was in terms of, coming back for another year, and, trying to, hone in on their skills and just, reinvesting further into the team and the success of the guys around them. So I think that, just buying into that and buying into the culture and, knowing that I was, coming back and doing it with such, a great group. And, that just gave me confidence, to do it with Riley was a great opportunity. And I'm, grateful for that. And, I was just happy to be a part of that ride and, help that team get so far.
No doubt. RJ Oben, Brian Baldinger, Rick Serritella here. During your time at Duke, RJ, you were kind of more as a pass rusher. You were getting after the quarterback. Then you went to Notre Dame. They kind of used you in that base defense there on early downs, and I thought you really showed your run-stopping ability. And so you have a diversified skill set. But for those NFL scouts who could be watching the show right now, maybe you didn't get a chance to interview with them at the Combine. I know you got a chance to talk to them at your pro day, but what do you want to let the NFL teams know in terms of what you're bringing to the next level?
Yeah, man, I just wanted to let teams know. I know obviously coming out of Duke, having a lot of those pass heavy situations and showing my skill as a pass rusher. But I knew, coming back for an extra year, that if I was able to, just show my physicality and show my, refinement in the run game and, my ability to, set the point of attack and set the edge and be defense on that defense, my ability to do that at the next level, I'm very confident in that. And, teams are getting a guy who's definitely, very emphasis on the technical side of things. I'm have a high knowledge of the game and, take it into account, just studying the game and, watching a lot of film and doing the best I can just to be a student. And I think that's what I am with, and what I'm getting and what the team is getting is someone who's going to put everything into it and someone's going to commit fully into whatever role that they ask me to do. I've been asked to play all along the defensive front, playing under 3 different defensive coordinators, 3 different defensive schemes, 4 head coaches. So, just having that opportunity and, different perspectives and being able to be versatile is something that I think coaches look for and something that I'm excited to show at the next level.
RJ, I believe in that mantra. I'm sure you do too, that iron sharpens iron. So I'm curious, your matchups with Graham Barton on a daily basis at Duke, and obviously the great success he had in Tampa this year. Not too many people are surprised at what he was able to do. But I know you guys went against each other, on a pretty regular basis. What was that like?
Man, it was great, man. Graham, ever since coming in, he stepped in the freshman year playing, those reps at center and then obviously moved out to tackle, later in his career. But, when he was out there, left tackle, going against him every day, those are just, great battles. To be able to go against the best in the country is nothing short of a privilege. So, I knew, having that confidence week in and week out that, no one was going to be better than the guy that I was going against every day in practice. So, when you ever have those battles, every day and just sharpen yourself, sharpen your skills. And I was just, really grateful for the opportunity, and I'm really happy to see him doing well at the next level.
RJ Oben here with Rick Serritella, Brian Baldinger, breaking it down, chopping it up. Looking forward to that pro day. One thing that caught my attention at the Senior Bowl, RJ, is you flashed the hand combat repertoire. I saw you with the rip, the dip, you even flashed the spin move. Is that something that you practice? Were you down there at the defensive line masterminds with Baldy? Maybe we need to get you signed up for that one. But talk to us just a little bit about your pass rush repertoire, because I thought it was very diversified.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. First of all, and I spent a lot of time, even going back to high school and learning, different moves and studying a lot of guys at the next level, whether that be college, NFL, the guys that getting sacks, guys that are getting after the quarterback, and that thing about pass rushing is that it's an art, and just being able to perfect my skill and just have a passion for it, have a passion for learning different moves and finding new ways every day to attack offensive linemen and give them my full repertoire, my bag and the skills that I've worked on every day. So I take tremendous pride in that. The ability to be violent with my hands is something I think I do very well. Better than a lot of guys at this level, and I'm just looking forward to showing that. And I was happy I was able to do that at the Senior Bowl.
RJ, I was really impressed in Mobile this year by the depth of defensive linemen that are coming out of this draft. I'm sure you saw it. I mean, every shape and size. You want I don't know, a Dayon Walker, or just a giant inside. You want a guy from a small school like Mike Green. Like, I thought it was as varied and deep as I've seen in a long time. What was your experience like, just interacting, competing, a lot of different drills leading up to the one-on-ones, and then the team periods? What was your experience like amongst such a diverse and talented group?
Yeah, it was great working with those guys, especially on my team. I think it was the only non-SEC defensive lineman. So just definitely putting things into perspective. I had those opportunities to play in those kind of games, obviously, throughout my career playing the ACC and, this past year independent. But, being around those guys, guys that are, 6'5", 280, 275, and then all along to, guys like you said, Mike Green, guys like the dude from Central Arkansas, guys that are just, from smaller schools, even out here, training one guy like, Elijah Ponder, guys from all levels, being able to go out there and perform and, kind of just shows that, regardless of, wherever guys are coming from, that, their skill and there's guys everywhere. And, if you can play that next level and then if you have that talent, they'll find you. And I just think it's great. I love, those battles and, being able to the camaraderie of, playing with, great defensive linemen and, working together on games on third down and, picking their brains and kind of seeing, what they're able to do and how they're able to, pick apart these offensive linemen. I've seen these guys highlights and I've seen, obviously, rankings and stuff like that. And these people in the media likes to compare you to, different guys across the country. But, to be able to work with these guys, and we're all trying to do the same thing. So just to have that, common goal and to work with them and, try to accomplish the same thing is just a great opportunity. And I take advantage of it every time I can.
No doubt. RJ Oben here with Rick Serritella, Brian Baldinger. Of course, 50 career games played between Notre Dame and Duke, 33 games started, 86 career tackles, 15 and a half sacks, 6 forced fumbles, and an interception. Talk to me about the forced fumbles, because that's a technique that needs to be practiced, right? So is that something that you put a lot of emphasis on in training?
Yeah, of course, coaches do a great job, throughout the week, whether, was at Duke and Notre Dame, just emphasis on ball disruption, obviously, a sack can end a drive, but, a strip sack can, change the course of a game. So, I was happy I was able to do that, this past season, in that playoff game against Georgia, having moments like that and plays in my career, those are the moments you live for. You work hard every day so you can, have moments like that where you can, help the team in the best possible way you can. I have long arms, and obviously I know, I use my moves and I have a huge repertoire in terms of things I do in attack offensive alignment. But, the biggest thing is the finish and, winning at the top and being able to bend and, reach that arm and, affect the quarterback in the highest way possible. So I always try to work on that and find ways to, affect the quarterback and affect the game. So I'm very happy and grateful when I'm ever able to take advantage of those opportunities.
RJ, I've known your father, Roman, for a long, long time. And we crossed paths quite a bit through the NFL. And I know that you want to carve your own path, but to have a father that you can use as a sounding board that played this game at a very, very high level, what has that been? What kind of a luxury is that for you, knowing that you can always ask him as a sounding board about whether it's moves, setups, game situations, you name it, that you have that resource?
Yeah, man. Well, it's a huge luxury and a great advantage. He's helped me all the way throughout my career. I started playing when I was in seventh grade, but since I was 5, 6 years old, I was watching film with him. He's studying for guys and going to his games and just having that motivation of knowing that when I get older, that football is something I want to do for a long time. So I think just having that perspective and obviously putting that love for me, love for the game into me, and instilling that in me at a young age. But even on the football and technical side of things, just being able to tell me, show me the other perspective of as an offensive lineman, maybe things that the tells of my play and my technique, things that I can improve on or things that I'm doing that, make it easier for offensive linemen or things that I could be doing that can make it harder for offensive linemen. So, having that perspective and, kind of seeing both sides of things, that's something that he's always instilled in me in my career and, kind of just giving me the gift of, being able to study film and studying players and, obviously studying guys and watching them and learning from, people in front of you and just having that repertoire and understanding of, taking things from film and applying it. So I think, he's just instilled that in me and, just the importance of, technique and working hard. And especially at this next level, having that perspective, whether that's questions of, what the process is going to look like. And, obviously things are going to get crazy in a couple of weeks. So just, having that perspective and having that voice, someone who's telling me, how to, stay calm throughout this process and, taking not taking the little things for granted, just having those lessons every day and having a role model, someone to look up to and a resource is something that's great. I'm very happy to have in my life.
And that's an invaluable resource. And Baldy and myself are showing our age because I remember your father, Roman, playing right here in our own backyard with the New York football giants. And, I got to ask you, though, because NFL teams do appreciate NFL bloodlines. That is a trait or characteristic that we appreciate. But your mother, Linda, was also an athlete. She was a volleyball player at NYU, from what I understand. So who's taking credit for the athleticism in the family, RJ? Is it mom or is it dad?
Honestly, people tell me I look like my mom all the time. So, she likes to steal that and say that it's all become because of her. So I'll definitely say the football side of my dad, but, the athleticism, my height, my mom, her brothers are super tall. She got 6'5", 6'6" brothers. So, a lot of the genes come from her just as much as dad. So I'd probably say 50-50 for me personally.
Way to play it safe. All right. So we got to get you out of here. We appreciate you taking the time and we appreciate your patience. What's the parting shot? What's the last message that you want to let NFL teams know at your upcoming pro day? Anything you want to put out there for the listening audience?
Yeah, I just want to let the scouts know and people are going to be tuning in the pro day that I'm looking forward to showing off my athleticism. Know that whoever team gets me or whatever fan base that I'm going to be supporting going forward, that they're going to get someone who's tough, who's physical, who's going to be a technician and is going to be strong at the point of attack, and someone's going to give everything they have to whatever city, whatever organization that I'm a part of, and I'm just so excited and looking forward to that opportunity. So I'm doing everything I can every day to maximize the opportunity and maximize myself, my talents, and I'm just looking forward to that. So any team that would be lucky to have me, and I'm looking forward to getting on the field.
Well, I can't wait to see where your next destination is, RJ. And hey, keep us posted. We look forward to the pro day and look forward to chopping it up with you sometime in the near future. Okay.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you for having me.
Yep. Good luck, right. RJ. Yep.
There he is, RJ Oben, and I see Roman is listening. He said, "Give mom all the credit." Smoking.
Roman's smart. He knows how to spread the love right there.
So listen, unfortunately or fortunately, we have to say goodbye to Brian Baldinger as well. I know you have another media obligation here. We have Nate Carter coming up after the commercial break. He just blew up his combine or his NFL Pro Day workout, so we're looking forward to talking to him. You're going to be on the scene, especially with the quarterback pro days and Shador and Cam and getting the inside scoop. What else you got coming up on the NFL Network, the Odyssey show, the best football show? You got a lot of coals in the burner.
Yeah, no, I'll be on the Insiders, the NFL Network tonight, probably talking in fact, I got a little conference call right here, but we're still tracking the two quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, every day to see where they might go. I'm doing stuff with both the Jets and the Giants, a lot of video breakdowns, just did the free agent pickups and classes. So we're doing that. And then, I'll be out in LA for the draft at the NFL Network, kind of holding things down there at that end. Well, some of our guys, Daniel Jeremiah, they'll be up in Green Bay at the draft. So it's going to be a busy, 5 weeks for me. And I wouldn't want it any other way right now, Rick.
Yeah, we love it. And make sure you go to allaccessfootball.com. You can catch all the Baldy breakdowns, the film room sessions, the scouting seminars, the scout club. We got the 2025 NFL Draft Bible. And we'll be back here next Wednesday, and each and every Wednesday, counting you down to the 2025 NFL Draft, Destination Green Bay. That's Brian Baldinger signing off for this week. I'll be back right after the commercial break with Nate Carter out of Rochester, New York, a tri-state area product, somebody who caught my attention. I went to about a dozen UConn practices and watched this young man play. I'm going to tell you all about him right after this commercial break. Buckle up.
You can debate the top corners in this draft from Travis Hunter to Will Johnson, but Jahdae Barron right here. Like here he is in zone coverage. Classic zone trap. And Milroe throws right into it. Like this guy is a heads-up player. He plays the game with a lot of confidence, always in communication. What's the safety doing right here? Just an aggressive tackler in space. He plays a lot in the slot. At Texas, play inside, can plays outside, but you can't block him. Like the guy is a good tackler. Now, you watch his eyes right here. He's got great eyes, right? So watch him carry in this bunch formation, the vertical, but get his eyes back on the speed out, and he jumps it. Like he's got awareness. All right, there he is in space again. Watch him, right? He refuses to be blocked. All right, this perimeter quick game that everybody wants to use, like it's a problem when guys tackle like that. All right? It's not as easy to get the ball on the outside. Now, you watch him right here. Good skills in coverage, okay? So you're going to be in this situation right here, and Slovis is the quarterback, and you watch stack route combination now. Like, play it. Here comes the vertical. Squeeze him to the sideline. Well done. All right, now you get this. Like, here he gets a double move on a deep ball, right? And he's got great position right here. The wheel. Here he is. I mean, I could go through play after play. So much good tape on Jade. The film room is cooking today. Right now, I'm watching right here, Michael Williams. You watched Michael Williams right here last year, playing on a basically one leg with a high ankle sprain. Watch the two-hand swipe on Banks. Turn the corner right here. And he just keeps coming to Quinn Ewers and gets the ball out. All right? Then you go back and you watch him as a freshman. Right? You watch him as a freshman here at the University of Georgia. All right? And you watch him, and here he is against Ohio State, Harris Johnson. He stabs that inside shoulder. Now, he just keeps lifting and coming and getting to C.J. Stroud. The guy's got unbelievable tape. You just can't stop watching him. And the physical prowess that he had from age 18 right there in a championship game.
All right, it's the place to be. Buckle up. You're tuned into the NFL DraftCast show. We're on location across the nation, so keep it locked every Wednesday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on X and around the All Access Football Media Platform Network. We are live.
Oh, baby, we are live broadcasting here at the Jersey Shore, around the universe. We'll be on location for Destination Green Bay 2025 NFL Draft. It's all brought to you by All Access Football. Of course, the NFL DraftCast show is here each and every Wednesday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Bookmark that wherever you're watching, YouTube, Twitter X, whatever you're doing. Please do us a solid. Like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend that it's them again. It's the NFL Draft Show, okay? We've got the NFL Draft Bible coming out, over 500 scouting reports, including our next guest who just blew up his pro day. AllAccessFootball.com. You want mock drafts? You want Baldy breakdowns? You want Scout Club? Go to AllAccessFootball.com. Take advantage of the pre-draft sale and get down on it. Hey, RIC in a place to be. Rick Serritella here for the next 10, 15 minutes or so. We may go a little overtime here. And this next young man, we just brought you a combine snub. We're going to actually, in fact, all of our guests today are combine snubs. That's what we do. Bringing you the names you need to know first since 2002, our 23rd year of independent coverage. And I'll tell you what, man, they don't come much tougher than the next individual that we're about to welcome on to the show. Of course, he started his career at Rochester, New York, a product of Bishop Kearney High School, began his career at UConn with my good friend Jim Mora, had a chance to attend quite a few of his practices where his tough, hard-nosed, gritty style of play really caught my attention, and I loved what I saw every time I went there up in stores. He then transferred to Michigan State. We've been keeping tabs with him, and he joins us now on the NFL DraftCast show. He is Nate Carter. How we doing, Nate?
I'm doing great. Good to see you. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, we appreciate you joining us and taking the time here. My compadre, Brian Baldinger, had to take off for NFL Network obligations, but I know he was looking forward to chopping it up because you completely burned up the turf there at the pro day. I mean, we're talking 4.37 40-yard dash, 40-inch vertical, 23 bench press reps. So you got speed, you got strength, you got number one rankings if you were invited to Indianapolis. Oh, and for good measure, a 10.8 broad jump. Did you anticipate this kind of performance?
I did, and shout out to the training facility that I went to, XP in Fort Lauderdale with Tony and Matt Gates. I knew that going into January that I had a really, really good opportunity to perform well for the pro day. At that point, I didn't really know if I was going to get invited to any combines or to any of those Senior Bowl games. So I was just making the best of my opportunity, and I'm just going throughout the process of training and seeing what I could do. I was excited, because for the bench and for the vert, those are both my personal records of doing that since the training process. So it was amazing for me to have the performance that I did. I'm just very blessed I had an opportunity to do it, but I don't take full credit for it. I really give the credit to just XPE and those guys really preparing me and training me and putting me in the best position so I could be able to perform on that pro day. So I'm very grateful for the good results.
Yeah, well, listen, I've been down there at the facilities in Fort Lauderdale. I know all about the shred mill. Okay. Oh, yeah. So I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. And if those of you who don't know should know, but that shred mill will get you right.
No doubt. Like I said, the program that they had me on, and really just all the other athletes there, both that went to the pro day, went to their pro days, and both went to the combine. I mean, you could just see, that I believe that they're the best in the nation of what they do, and I think the proof isn't in the numbers and the putting in just the product that they produce each and every year. So.
No doubt about it. Nathan Carter here with Rick Serritella on the NFL DraftCast show. Now, measurables are one aspect of it, and obviously it carries some sort of weight, but we all go back to the film. That's your resume. And what I saw from you is a tough, hard-nosed, gritty, between-the-tackles runner. I didn't realize you had that much speed. I'll be honest with you. And now I'm starting to like you even more because you got the breakaway ability. You got the ability to pound the rock between the tackles. But for those of us that are just tuning in for the first time, maybe they're just hearing about Nathan Carter. Maybe they don't know the style of play that you bring to the table. What are you going to bring to the next level, Nate?
No doubt, that's a great question. I believe I'm going to bring a lot of versatility to the next level. A guy who can play 3 downs, a guy who can most importantly pass protect, and someone that can run multiple schemes, whether that's man blocking schemes or that's zone blocking schemes. We ran a lot of outside zone, a lot of duo in the last offenses that I ran in, and I was very successful in those. So just someone who's able to come in, who's able to make an immediate impact, especially in the National Football League, with guys of being able to pass protect, guys being able to pass catch out of the backfield. I believe I have all the tangibles to be able to do that, and I'm, just ready for the opportunity for me to get picked to a team where I can be used the best way and be used in the way that they need me to, whether that's on offense or special teams or whatever it is, doing what I could do to help the team win at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, you almost stole the next question from me because I was going to say your all-purpose ability, you're receiving out of the backfield. You finished with 2,722 all-purpose yards for your career, 40 games played, 30 of which were starts, including 14 touchdowns. And so I got to ask you, Nate, running back's a tricky position because, let's be honest, it's becoming more in vogue, but it's been kind of a downplayed or undervalued position. You had a very important choice to make as a redshirt junior. You still had eligibility remaining. I'm curious if you can maybe peel back the layers of the NFL Advisory Board Committee. Did you go through that process? What was it like? Did you get any feedback? How much did that weigh on your decision? Take us a little behind the scenes of that whole process, if you can.
Yeah, no doubt. It was definitely a hard decision trying to figure out if I wanted to come back for another year or whether I wanted to take my talents to the next level. And for me, faith is a big thing in what I do. So not only did the people at Michigan State, as far as my football liaison and listening to the NFL guys and talking to some scouts and whatnot, not only did that take a big toll, but also my faith of really just praying and trusting in, the plan that God had for me. And I believe that, that I was being led to be able to go above and beyond to go on and chase my aspirations. And, at the end of the day, I believe that I have the athletic ability, to be able to play at the next level and to be able to help a team immediately when I step on a field and when I step on a team. And, I take a lot of confidence in just my preparation and really confidence in the plan that God has for me. I'm going forward. So I don't know how to play ticket to fall, but I'm just trusting in the plan that God has for me. And, but it wasn't an easy decision. It took a lot of prayer, a lot of talking to, wise counsel, a lot of people who I knew were in my corner to help me to come up with a decision that was best for my future.
Yeah, now here we are 37 days away, probably the most anxious time of your life that you're ever going to have, just waiting because, as you know, we don't have a playbook to study. We're waiting for our destination. We're chomping at the bit to play. So I'm curious. You just had a big pro day performance. I'm sure NFL teams wanted to meet with you and speak with you afterwards. What kind of feedback or what kind of things are you hearing? I know you got a great agent in Pat Capper. What are some of the things that you're hearing at this stage of the game?
Yeah, I think that right now my pro day performance shocked and surprised a lot of people. And I think that's a good thing. I don't think that a lot of people really scouts really expected me to run that fast or really to perform well that I did. So, all glory to God for him giving me the ability to be able to do that and just to take advantage of that opportunity. And, now I'm getting into like you were saying, getting into the process of speaking with, different scouts and running back coaches and going back and forth and really just hearing about, how I fit in their schemes and whatnot. So still really getting a lot of information. I'm still in the beginning stages of everything. But I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the process. I'm blessed to be in this position that I'm in, just to be able to, be on here on this podcast and talk, and have the opportunity to talk with coaches. It's a blessing. So I do not take that for granted. I'm just, learning all that I can, and want to make sure that I'm put in the best situation possible, so that wherever team that I go to, whether I'm drafted to a team or whether I'm an undrafted free agent, that I'm gonna go in there and go 110 miles per hour and do all I can to help that team win during the season. So that's kind of my mindset and kind of what's driving me forward in the midst of the process that I'm going through.
Yeah, I love the mentality. I love the mindset. I love everything you bring to the table. Like I said, you popped onto my radar down over in stores at UConn, and I think you enrolled. Did you enroll early during the COVID year and it got canceled? Was that? Yeah, I mean that's a rough situation. I mean, and Jim Moore is a good friend. You got the NFL exposure early on in your career. You've had a lot of great coaches during your collegiate career. Just talk about some of the coaches you played for, your experiences, the early days at UConn. And just how tough was it? I mean, man, I can't believe COVID was 5 years ago, but here we are, man. That was some trying times.
Yeah, no doubt. And, I think that not just during COVID, but really my whole entire college football career has been one of, having adversity and being able to, still perform and being able to still drive through and accomplish a goal in the midst of that adversity. And all of my college career had different head coaches with different offenses and different running back coaches. And I see that as a way of proving to, hey, I'm a guy that has been through adversity with having different coaches coming in, coming out, and being able to persevere through that. I think that's a huge testament to really how I approach the mental side of the game. And I see that as a blessing as well, being able to see many different offensive schemes and terminology. I think I gained a lot of wisdom and just really football IQ, learning from a lot of different people. So I don't take that for granted. And I think that that's a blessing in itself of just being, to be with so many great coaches like Jim Moore, like, Coach Mel Tucker, and like, even this year, with Coach Smith, being with those guys who have a repertoire, who have a seat of having great players, who they've coached in their college careers. And it's just amazing to be able to coach by those guys and to learn so much as the years have gone on in my football career.
Yeah, no doubt. A lot of great perspective. A lot of guys who know what it takes to get to the next level. And he is Nate Carter. I am Rick Serritella. What is the game plan, I guess, for the next month or so? What does it look like for the Nate Carter calendar from here until the draft? It's kind of a lot of dead time, a lot of anxious time, a lot of waiting around. But what do you anticipate for the next month or so?
Yeah, so I'm still currently here in Fort Lauderdale training, make sure I'm staying in shape, still growing in my football ability and growing in my skill set. And then really I'll be training until, the draft, just making sure that I'm staying ready. And as far as, talking to coaches and, doing all those things, I'm sure that will happen more down the line as far as maybe visits or whatever that looks like. And, currently right now, I'm also in the process of publishing a book. That I just finished writing, which is coming out in the next few months or so. So I'm in the midst of training, getting ready for the NFL and for the draft. I'm also in the process of publishing a book out, which I'm really, really excited for. So a lot of great things going on with the draft coming up and my first book being published. And I'm just kind of grateful for everything that's been happening so far this year.
All right. Well, in media, we call that a tease. Can you enlighten? Can you shed some light on the book that's coming out? What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I'll tell you a little information. I can't tell the title of the name of the book yet, but it's a book that I wanted to write with the passion of helping, people to see God in their story. And it's really a heartfelt collection of my personal story, my testimonies, life lessons, things that I've gone through, and things that God has taught me in my life, from the age of 10 to even the present day now, of how I saw that God was in my story during then. And this book is really to kind of pass something down to the next generation, of leaving a legacy. That's far beyond what I do on the football field, far beyond anything else, but really leaving a legacy of really faith and wisdom to the next generation, and guiding them and trying to help them to see that God's in their story of their lives, and really God's in the story of all of our lives. And if we take a step back and we see God in our story, I think that really changed and impacted our lives as it did mine. So that's my hope with the book, and just a little summary of what it is without spoiling too much of it. But I've been very excited to release this project, and I'm very excited to have it out there publicly in the next few months. So
outstanding. Well, we knew you had a multi-dimensional skill set. I didn't know it extended into the writing realm. So is there anywhere where we can go and find more information or get a pre-order going on, or where should we be on the lookout for?
Yeah, no doubt. I released a lot of information on my Instagram. So really my social media is how I'll be releasing Instagram, and releasing the information on Instagram, but my main channel. And kind of from there, I believe in, book signings and pre-title reveals and cover reveals. And then when the book's finally published, it'll be published on all bookstores, whether that's Barnes and Nobles, Amazon, wherever you can find books, it'll be there. So down the road, and really on my Instagram, I'm releasing updates and things like that. So that's probably the best way for people to kind of follow and catch up, and to see how this is going down the road. So.
Well, that's great stuff. Keep us posted. I'm not too far away. If you come back home to Rochester, I know Pat Capper's a Jersey guy. He'll let me know all about it. Parting shot for the people, NFL teams, the listening audience at home. What do you want to let everybody know before we let you go?
Man, I'm probably in the most unrated running back prospect in this draft, but I guarantee you that if you were to take me on your team, or for guys who are looking to have me on the team, you're going to have a guy who's going to make an immediate impact. And not just someone's going to make an immediate impact on the field, but someone's going to make an immediate impact off the field as well, as far as building relationships and wanting to serve in a community and wanting to do more than just the football side of things, but actually create a change in people's lives that lasts far beyond football.
Love it. Hey, appreciate the time, Nate. We'll be in touch. Look forward to seeing where your next destination is. All right, my man. Take care.
Appreciate it. God bless.
All right. There you have it. Nathan Carter joining us here on the NFL DraftCast show. All Access Football on this Wednesday, March 19th, 2025. 37 days away to the 2025 NFL Draft, destination Green Bay. You just heard from Nate Carter. We also had RJ Oben out of Notre Dame via Duke joining us previously. And before that, Taylor Elgersma, the Canadian Cannon, out of Laurier. For all that and more, go check out the archives. We're streaming live right now on YouTube and Twitter X. Do us a favor, and I appreciate all the party people in the chat room. We got to get more interactive on this show. We're working on it. We're trying. Cole Glotzer holding it down behind the scenes, our super producer. But big shout out to the Elks Herd, Roman Oben, David Del Cole, Adams Exploit, Shotgun Sports Networks. It's so good to see some of my familiar faces. And I know there's more of you out there, so please feel free to chime in, leave a note. And really, more importantly, if you want to help us out, like, share, and subscribe. It's all about the algorithms these days, 2025. Didn't know much about that back in 2002 when we started this thing. 23 years of independent NFL draft analysis. And that's why we thank you so much for all of your support at theallaccessfootball.com. I promise you, if you order the 2025 NFL Draft Bible, which is included with the All Access Football membership, hands down, it will be the best NFL draft resource that you buy this year. And if it's not, I'll refund you. Money back guaranteed. That's my word on it. Rick Serritella said it. Because I know, man, I've been up doing this damn thing around the clock, trying to bring you the names you need to know, trying to bring you the Nate Carters of the world, trying to bring you the Taylor Elgersma international prospects of the universe. It's what we do here. RJ Oben had a hell of a good Senior Bowl. Now, Notre Dame used him in a base front, early downs, more of a run stuffer, but man, he was a pass rush dynamo at Duke. So these guys are flying under the radar. None of our guests were invited to the NFL Scouting Combine. And that's kind of what we do at the NFL Draft Bible. So again, allaccessfootball.com. Much love to all the party people in the chat room. Again, we're here each and every Wednesday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, live, counting you down to the 2025 NFL Draft. Some other news and notes, real quick, housekeeping, Cole. We're going overtime. Tuesdays are our big day. We just started doing 97.3 ESPN radio in Philadelphia every Tuesday live at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. You can tune in there. I'm talking Eagles. I'm talking NFL Draft. That's every Tuesday, ESPN 97.3. You can watch the live stream. They have a YouTube channel. And then Tuesday night, that's the Sports Bash. Tuesday night, I'm on the Sports Rage with Gabriel Morency. We've been doing it every Tuesday night for the last 5 years, year-round NFL Draft Talk and everything football. That's Sirius XM, channel 159, also Sports Grid TV. If you're subscribed to the allaccessfootball.com newsletter, I try to do a good job and blast all those segments out to you. Okay, we have the NFL mock draft online. Baldy's breakdowns are flowing. We've got Cam Schweissinger from UCLA, linebacker, is going to probably debut on the website tomorrow. And man, I hate saying goodbye. Can you tell? It's my favorite time of the week. I love chopping it up and breaking it down and talking football with you. But it's been another hour of power in the books. We went a little bit overtime, 10 minutes. Thank you all for tuning in. And hey, we'll do it again. We'll be bigger, better, and better the next time. Sayonara, everybody.